The Unexpected Bloom of Arthur Penhaligon. Arthur Penhaligon, a retired history professor with a penchant for tweed jackets and Earl Grey tea, never considered himself attractive. 65 years had etched lines around his eyes, silvered his temples, and softened the sharp angles of his once youthful face. He'd spent his life immersed in dusty tomes and the quiet contemplation of historical events, far removed from the shimmering world of romantic pursuit. He was content, or so he believed. Then a peculiar thing began to happen. At his weekly chess club, a younger woman, Clara, a vibrant graphic designer with a cascade of fiery red hair, would often linger near his table, her eyes sparkling with an unspoken curiosity. He initially dismissed it as mere happenstance, attributing it to the cozy atmosphere of the club. But the lingering glances persisted, growing more frequent and more intense. He noticed the way she'd subtly adjust her posture when he spoke, her laughter echoing with a warmth that seemed directed solely at him. One day, Clara approached him, not to discuss chess strategy, but to ask for his advice on a historical inaccuracy in a graphic novel she was designing. He readily offered his expertise, spending a good hour delving into the nuances of 18th-century naval warfare. As he spoke, he felt a surge of something he hadn't felt in decades, a quiet confidence, a sense of being valued not just for his intellect, but for his very presence. This was the first crack in Arthur's self-perceived wall of unattractiveness. The compliments began to trickle in. A barista at his favorite coffee shop praised his impeccably pressed trousers. His niece, a sharp-tongued fashion journalist, complimented his understated yet elegant style, noting the subtle sophistication of his carefully chosen accessories. He'd always dressed well, but he'd never considered it a significant aspect of his personality. These compliments, however, were different. They were more than mere pleasantries. They were acknowledgments of a carefully cultivated aesthetic, a silent declaration of his personal style. It was a revelation. His fitness regime, once a solitary pursuit of maintaining physical health, now seemed to hold a different significance. He'd always maintained a routine of regular walks and light exercises, but now he found himself appreciating the way his body felt, strong, capable, and vibrant. A chance encounter with a former student, now a successful entrepreneur, resulted in a conversation that shifted Arthur's perspective. The student, noticing Arthur's physique and energy, commented on how well he'd aged, attributing it to a disciplined lifestyle. This was the first time Arthur had consciously recognized his physical attributes as a positive aspect of his identity. At the chess club, the subtle signals intensified. Clara's mirroring of his body language became more pronounced, her laughter more infectious. He noticed her playing with her hair whenever he looked at her, a seemingly innocuous gesture that suddenly seemed laden with significance. He started to notice similar subtle cues from other women, a slight tilt of the head, a prolonged gaze, a gentle touch on the arm as they passed him by. These weren't overt advances. They were invitations, subtle nods towards a connection that Arthur hadn't previously recognized. One evening, after a particularly engaging chess match with Clara, she suggested they grab a coffee. Arthur, surprised but strangely exhilarated, accepted. Over steaming mugs of cappuccino, they talked not just about chess, but about life, about their passions, about their dreams. He discovered a kindred spirit, a woman who appreciated his wit, his wisdom, and the quiet depth of his character. He discovered that his age, far from being a barrier, was a source of strength, a testament to a life well lived. His jokes, once delivered with self-deprecating humor, now seemed to hold a different resonance. Women laughed, not just out of politeness, but out of genuine amusement. He realized that his humor, honed over years of observing the absurdities of life, had become a unique and appealing aspect of his personality. He found himself enjoying the social interactions more, the easy banter, the shared laughter. He was comfortable, confident, and surprisingly self-assured. This newfound confidence, this unexpected blossoming, wasn't merely about attracting younger women. It was about self-acceptance, about recognizing the inherent value in his experiences, his knowledge, and his presence. He realized that the signs he'd initially dismissed as coincidences were in fact reflections of his own evolving self-perception. He wasn't just attractive to others, he was attractive to himself. He learned to appreciate the lines on his face, the silver in his hair, the wisdom in his eyes. They were the marks of a life well lived, a life rich with experiences, and the promise of further adventures. The transformation wasn't overnight. It was a gradual unfolding, a quiet revolution within himself. The women's interest was a catalyst, a mirror reflecting back the man he had always been, but hadn't yet fully recognized. Arthur Penhaligon, the retired history professor, had discovered a new chapter in his life, a chapter filled with unexpected friendships, newfound confidence, and the quiet joy of being truly, authentically himself. He had embraced the signs, and in doing so, he had embraced himself. And that, he realized, was the most attractive thing of all. He found a new depth to his relationships, not just romantic, but platonic, finding connection with people from all walks of life who saw and valued the mature man he had become. His journey was a testament to the enduring power of self-acceptance and the unexpected beauty of aging gracefully.